Hello, we'll get started. So welcome to lecture 2 of Intro to iOS Development. Today we're going to be talking about UIKit and AutoLayout. So just some more logistics. Remember that the deadline to enroll in the course is October 1st on Student Center. Also make sure you have joined our Campus Wire and you are enrolled on CMS. And yeah, all of the slides and code and everything we do in the course are uploaded to our website every week. And then just another reminder of the grading policy, you can get one project drop, but that's not including the first and final project. And if you want an extension for your project, you should notify us 24 hours in advance and make a private post on Campus Wire. And yeah, you can read the grading and project FAQs on the website. Okay, yeah, so we'll first go over some lecture 1 review. So let's say the task class is the task is a struct. And if you have like a variable called task A, and you assign task A to task B, and you change task B's title to buy food, what would task A.title print? Does anyone want to answer that? I saw his hand first. Yeah. Yes, that's right. What should task B.title print? Okay, yeah. Okay. So if task is a class instead, what should task A print? Yes.
Yeah, just for the by food.
Yeah. Why?
Because now it's a reference type, so now it's a pointer.
Okay. That's correct. Buy food, and task B is still buy food. Okay, and so you have this code. So you have a variable A that's an optional int, and you assign that to nil. And you also have a variable B that has type int, and you assign that to A. What will happen with the if let and you like print? Does anyone have an answer? Yeah.
I don't think that will compile.
Okay, that's correct. It won't compile because you can't assign an optional to a non-optional. Okay, and now we can go into what we'll actually be learning today. So UIKit is a framework that Apple created, and it provides core objects that you can use to build iOS apps. So some of these core objects include view controller and views. A view controller is basically a screen in your application, and it maintains view hierarchy of all the subviews that it contains. And every application has at least one view controller, and it feels like the main window of your application, and we call that the root view controller. And so these view controllers, they can contain subviews, and that's why you have like views. And examples of views could be a UI image view, a UI button, UI label, and UI text field. So yeah, these are pretty self-explanatory, I think. An image view just contains an image. A button, yeah, used for for some action. A label, and yeah, all of these views that I mentioned, they are all subclasses of a class called UI view. Any questions there? Okay. And yeah, this is an example. So you see, this is one of our app devs app called Uplift. So the top, the bear express, that's made with a UI label. And in the background, you can see like there's a image there that's made with a UI image view. And the add to calendar button in the middle, that's made with a UI button. And then you see like a big chunk of like text on the bottom, and that's with a UI text view. Okay, and next, actually, any questions? Also, can people in the back hear me clearly? Okay. Okay, and next we'll go into AutoLayout. So auto layout is about how you position all your views relative to the screen and other views. And being relative is really important because phones have different sizes, and with auto, if you place your views relatively, they will still look good even if you have different size phones. And to like place these views relatively, we use a set of anchors and we place some rules on these anchors. So for example, if you want to make the width and height of a view, you use the width and height anchor. If you want to do where the center point is, you use center X anchor. So that's the where it's placed horizontally, and you center Y anchor. So it's like center vertically. And we also have top anchor, bottom anchor, and the left and right is called leading and trailing anchor. Okay, just some visual here. So there's like a button, and there's like the height and the width, and the top of the button, the bottom of the button, and the center is the center X and center Y. And then you have the left and right side of the button, and that's the leading and trailing anchor. Yeah. And okay, let's look at this example here. So the top anchor of this whole screen would be the top of the very top of the phone, I guess. And same for the button. And the height will take the whole height of the screen, and the width, and leading and trailing just like the left and right sides of the screen. That's for the anchors of a view controller. Okay, and then if we look at some, so yeah, in this example, you have a UI label for like the song title, a UI image view for the photo album, and you have like a bunch of buttons and on the bottom that you can click on. So, and how you exactly like place these views relative to each other is done with like constraints. And constraints are just rules that you place between like the views anchor and another views anchor. So, yeah. And so for example, if you look at the song title and the song album cover, what we can say is, I want to put this song title like a few pixels below the song album cover. So that's how you like set the constraints. And how you okay. And then there's a special case. So if you want to constrain something relative to like the top or the bottom of the screen, you wouldn't really want to just use the views top and bottom anchor, because like phones, all the like iPhones nowadays have that notch on the top, and you don't exactly want to place a view like it might be blocked by the notch if you just constrain something to the top of the screen. So what you actually need to do is use Safe Area Layout Guide, top and bottom anchor. So what that is exactly is, so you see like the top and bottom anchor, so that's like is the very top and very bottom of the phone. So now like phones are like kind of curvy and has the notch on the top. So things, if you just constrain, like for example, the September label on top, if you just say like I want it to be a few pixels below the top anchor, like depending on how many pixels you say, like this September could be blocked behind the notch and you might be like confused why. But if you use Safe Area Layout Guide top anchor, you guarantee like it will be below that area that you probably don't want to constrain it to. So anyone have questions on that? Okay. Okay, then now we can actually look at an example of how you actually write constraints. So let's say we want to put view 2 20 pixels below the bottom of view 1. So how you do that is you say view 2 dot top anchor dot constraint equal to view 1's bottom anchor and constant 20. So that just says you want to put view 2's top 20 pixels below view 1's bottom. Okay. And let's look at another example. So let's say you want to put view 1's top 20 pixel below the top of the screen. So how you do that is you want to do top view 1 dot top anchor the constraint equal to view dot save layout guide top anchor constant 20. So that just places view 1 20 pixels below the top anchor of the save area layout guide. Okay, yeah. Oh, wait, actually, anyone have questions? Okay, great. Then we'll move into the demo. For demo today, let me get out of this. Okay. For demo today, we'll be building this app with Jeff Bezos. So basically, you have like a label on top. You have like a image. You have this button here. When you click on it, it's like you follow or unfollow. And then there's like a big chunk of text about Jeff Bezos. And then there's like a text thing where you can just like type whatever. So I guess if anyone wants to follow along, you can follow along. So first thing you need to do is open your Xcode. Okay. Normally when you open your Xcode, a window should pop up asking you to like if you want to start a new playground or new project. My Xcode is a little broken, so it doesn't show that, but yours should. I'm just gonna create a new one here. So you can go to like File, New, Project. Not Playground. Playground was what we used for the homework last time, but this time I want to do a new project. So, yes.
What's the difference?
Playground is kind of just like you can play around with like Swift syntax and like code usually. But when you want to build an application, you just want to use the project. And select on the app option. And then you can just type a name for your project. I'm gonna call it Lecture 2 Demo. Does anyone have questions on going to this step? Oh, also make sure that your what's it called? Interface is storyboard and not Swift UI.
What is organization identifier?
Oh, you can just put like anything. I just put my name. Okay, and then you can click next. And then just save somewhere. Okay. Oh no. Okay. And then the next thing you want to do is you'll see this on the left navigation directory thing. You want to click on main.storyboard and right click and move to trash. So the reason we're deleting this because you can actually build an application by just dragging like UI, like all the UI views onto this storyboard, but we're not teaching you to do that. So you move to trash the main.storyboard. Did everyone get that? Oh, okay. So on the left, right? It's not there anymore for me, but there's this thing called. You probably need to drag down this directory too. So there's a thing called main.storyboard, and you should right click and delete it. If you have like technical problems, could you raise your hand and maybe like Amy can help? Yeah. Noah, can you help too?
Wait, no. I never had that.
Oh wait, you don't have
I
main.storyboard?
never had that.
You made us with UIKit. No, you didn't.
Do what again? Am I doing it wrong?
Did you get it? Yay.
Is it called main in the new update?
Oh no, launch screen.storyboard is fine. You don't have to delete that.
I think in the newest version of Swift, it's just called main.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it might just be called main and just delete that. Okay, and the next thing you want to do is click into info.plist. What? This? Oh, sorry. You can't make this. Can't make this bigger. I think for this you can make it bigger. Is it really? Oh, it's so small. Okay. But if you have info.plist open, find this line that says main storyboard file base name. This one, main storyboard file base name. Okay, find that line and then click on the minus thing. So to delete it. Yeah, it was called main storyboard file base name, I think. Yeah.
Just curious why.
Because we're not using the storyboard, so we have to delete it.
What's the storyboard?
Storyboard is like this. It's like kind of like a canvas where you can just drop views onto it, and you can still make an app with that. But we're not teaching you to use storyboard. Okay. Yours don't have a. Yeah, I think it's probably fine if you don't have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, next thing is look for application scene manifest and keep opening it. Keep opening it until you see the storyboard name. So keep opening application scene manifest until you see storyboard name. And then also delete that. Just Did people find this? Just click on the minus. Wait.
Oh, I said it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so get rid of that. Okay, and then we'll move into scene delegate. So we'll start some coding here. Yeah. Sorry. Also, like all these steps are also listed on our website. If you need like to refer back. Okay, I'm just gonna continue here. So if you go to scene delegate, we'll be editing this first function, scene like scene UI scene we'll connect to. So first thing we want to do is change this underscore on line 19. We can call it Garlet window scene equal to scene as question mark UI window scene. So what we're doing here is we're casting the scene in here that's scene UI scene into a UI window scene. So and because it's optional, like well, if the cast doesn't work, then it will be optional. So we had to use a garlet that we talked about last lecture. You can also use an if let. And the window scene is basically like just the window of your application. So, and next what you want to do is let's create a window. Let window equal UI window. And you want use the autocomplete option for window scene, and we just pass in the window scene. Okay, and next, oh yeah, sorry. Is that big enough? Okay. And then next, we want to set so if you look here, there's a view controller file by a class by default, and the view controller is going to be the main screen of your application. So we want to instantiate a class of the view controller, so we can do let view controller equal view controller. So like that, you instantiate a view controller object, and then we want to link this view controller to the window. So how we do that is you do window.root view controller equal view controller. So that just sets the Windows root view controller, so the main screen of your application, to this view controller we created in line 21. And the next thing you do is so this scene delegate has a variable called window. You want to link this window to the window we created in this function. So to do that, you do self.window equals window. So this self.window is referring to the window on line 12, and this window is the window we just created in this function. And the last thing you have to do is window dot make key and visible. So that just makes your window visible. Yeah.
Why couldn't we just alter the window on line 12?
Alter the window on line 12.
Why do we have to make a new window and then assign it to self-window?
So this window is just like I guess a default window, but you want to like make a window that's linked to your the view controller that you want to be the main screen of your application.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would there be any difference between doing that directly to self.window versus making another window and then just assigning it?
Actually, I'm not sure. Do you know?
I mean, I guess you wouldn't have access to scene because
Oh yeah, because you want this window to be connected to the window scene here. So this window is going to be different from this window because it's created with the window scene we have.
Okay. Thank
Yeah. Okay, and then next we're gonna move into the view controller and actually like make something show on the screen. So first thing we can try is setting the background color of your application. So in this function, viewDidLoad, so viewDidLoad is basically called when your screen first loads. So we can try changing the background color. So you can do view.background color equal some random color. So you do dot, since color is like it has like many colors, so it's an enum, so you can access it with a dot. So let's try dot blue. And then to run your application, so on the top, there's like this drop down of a bunch of like simulators. So just pick a phone you like. I'm gonna pick iPhone 12. And then to run it, you click on this play button here, or you can type, or you can press Command R. So Command R with this play button. Oh no. Oh no, something's wrong. Okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah, you can see like the screen is blue because I set the background color to blue. Yeah, okay, it might take a while for the simulator to boot up. Yeah. Sorry, could you speak louder? Oh, could you help? Okay, next, I'm just gonna change it back to white color. Oh, Noah, could you help over there? And then, like the demo I showed before, so we're gonna be making a UI label, a image view for the profile image, and then a button for the following, and then there's gonna be a UI text view with all the text, and then there's gonna be a UI text field for inputting the text. Okay, back to the. So what we can do first is instantiate all of the UI views. So first we can have the label. Let's call that name label. So you do var, just the variable name. I'm calling it name label, and that's equal to a UI label. So you instantiate it like that, and then we can also make a profile image view. So that's a UI image view. And then we can also have a follow button. So that's a UI button. And then also a bio text view. And then lastly, we have a comment text field. Okay. Oh, okay, UI label. And then after you instantiated all of these classes, let's try setting up the name label first. So so you will want to set or do all the setup inside view did load, because that's what's called when your screen first loads. To set the title of your what you're gonna have in your name label, you do name label dot type. Yes, dot text. Actually, the text is some text. And then you can also set the color of the text. So you do text color. I'm gonna do black. And then you can also set the font. So then UI font is also like a enum, so you can access it with a dot. I'm gonna use the system font of size. Let me do 20. And then the weight, that's also an enum, so you can do a dot. I'm gonna make it bold. So a lot of these things you can just let it auto-complete. You don't have to like type out everything. And then the next thing, very important, you have to add this name label into your screen. So how you do that is you do view dot as subview name label. Okay. And then after you added the subview, if you run it, you'll see like nothing actually shows up. Does anyone know why nothing shows up? Yes.
You need that translates, auto resize, and mask constraints.
Oh yeah, you need that for you do need that. But also the main problem here is just we. Oh yeah.
There's also the mask layout.
Yeah, we didn't set constraints for this this label. So to you can set constraints like inside this viewDidLoad function, but we're gonna actually make a function to set up all the constraints. This is just to declutter the viewDidLoad function, and then we can call it in viewDidLoad. The way you set up constraints is, so you have to do NSLayout constraints dot activate, and so if you want to set constraints for the name label, you would do name label dot top anchor. So we want to place this name label a few pixels below the safe area layout guys top anchor. So the way you do that is name label dot top anchor dot constraint, and then choose the autocomplete option with the equal to constant. So you want it to equal to view dot save layout guide dot top anchor and just some constant like 20. And I'm also gonna place the label in the center horizontally, so we can set the name label center x anchor. Same thing. Also remember there's a comma after the constraint. So since there's no constant, you can just use the equal to 1. Okay, and now let's run it. Oh, okay, and then it crashed because we didn't add this thing called translate auto sizing mass into constraints, and you had to set that equal to false. And the reason you're doing that is you have set your own constraint and you kind of don't want to use like the Swift's default constraint that they give you. You want to set it with your own constraints. So if you rerun it, you'll see that the name label shows up. Okay, and then we'll continue to building up the profile image view. So what you can do is profile image view dot image. So that sets the image that you actually put in your image view. But first thing you need to do is you'll see this assets folder on the left. And this is where you put all the images or like any assets related to your project. So I'm gonna just drag this photo of Jeff into my assets. But it can be any picture. You just have to drag some picture in there. And then when you go back to the view controller, the way you set the image is you do profile image view dot image equal to UI image, and then use the named one. So then that you can put the name of your file. So my file was called Jeff Bezos. And then next you can set the how you want the image to be fitted onto your image view. So the way you do that is profile image view dot content mode. So that's also like an enum, so you have like a bunch of options. So there's the one that we typically want to use is scale aspect fill. What that does is it fills the image to how big your profile image view is, and it will cut off all the excess of the image. So let's say if your like image view was just like a square and your actual image is a rectangle, it's gonna cut off like the ends. And then in order for that to work, you also have to set profile image dot clips to bound. So it actually like clips the image to the bounds of the image view, and you want to set that to true. And of course, if you want to set constraints, you also have to set the translate auto sizing to false and add the subview. Okay, and then we'll set the constraints for the image view. So same thing. You can actually just add it, like continue adding here, but then just for like the cleanness of your code, you're gonna make a new one. So ns layout constraints activate profile image view. So we want to put this profile image view a few pixels below the bottom of the name label. So we have to set the top anchor equal to name labels bottom anchor offset by 20 pixels. And then we can also set the width and height of the image view. So we can say the height constraint. You can choose the autocomplete option that just says equal to constant, since the height is just a constant. It's not relative to another view. So let's set the height to let's say like 200. And the same thing for the width. Equal to constant 200. I'm gonna also place the image view to the center horizontally. Oh, sorry. I'll move a little more up. Okay. Yeah, so we set the top of the image to the bottom of the name label offset by 20 pixels, and it will also set the height and width of the image view, and lastly we set the image view to be at the center horizontally. So let's run that. Okay, and yeah, Jeff should show up. And then the next thing we're gonna make is the follow button. So the way you can set up a button is you do yeah. The recording will be posted. Yeah. So follow button. The way you set text for a button is you do set title, and then we're gonna set the title to follow, and then for state you can just say normal, and you can also set the color. We're gonna set the color to system blue, and also normal for the state. And then we can add a border to this button. So the way you do that is follow button dot layer dot border width. So that sets the width of the border. We're gonna set that to 1, and then we can also set the color of the border. To do that, we're gonna, since border if you like see this autocomplete, you'll see that border color has type CG color. So it's not like a normal UI color, so you have to convert from a UI color to a CG color. So the way you do that is you do equal to UI color dot let's say system blue dot CG color. So that just converts the color into a CG color. Oh, sorry, it should be border color. And then we're gonna add the translate auto sizing masking to constraints to false. And then add the follow button into this into the subview. And then next we'll set the constraints for the button. So adding on to the constraints. We're gonna set this follow button a few pixels below the profile image view. So the way you do that is follow button dot top anchor activate actually constraints, yeah, to the profile image views bottom anchor offset by 20 pixels. And then we can also set the width and height of this button. So I'm going to set the width to 100. I'm going to set the height to 50. And then lastly, I'm going to put the button in the center again. Okay. And then if I run this, the button should show up. Okay. And then next thing is when we click on this follow button, we want to perform some action, like changing the button into following. So the way you add an action to a button is you do follow button dot add target, and then the target will just be self because yeah, your target, the self as in like the follow button itself. And then the way you add an action is you do selector, and then the name of the method you want it to run. So that could be like follow button tapped, and then the event. Normally we will use touch up inside, so that's just like when you touch the inside of the button. And then you'll see like it throws this error because there's no implementation of follow button tapped. So we're gonna implement that. And then you also had to add this Objective-C tag into it. That's just how like the selector thing work. You don't really need to know why it works, but it just does. So inside this function is what's gonna be performed after you touch the inside of this button. So what we want to do here is once you tap this follow button, it will change into following, and then if you tap it again, it will change back to follow. So I'm gonna set a variable called is following to keep track of if you're following this person. So I'm gonna set that to false in the beginning. Yeah, so I set a variable in the beginning called is following, and that's equal to false. And then inside this follow button tap function, I'm gonna check if you're not following this person. So if you're not following this person, I want to change the text to say that we're following. So I'm gonna do follow button dot set title. So you just have to change the title. And then else if you're already following, you can set the title back to follow. Okay, and let's try that. So yeah, once you actually I forgot to do one thing is if you're already following that person, you should change the following variable to true, and then is following to false. So you're like updating this variable here, and based on that variable, you're updating the text of this button. So yeah, now you can just it changes based on if you're following this person or not. And the next thing we want to add is a text field on the bottom, so you can like type things. So we're gonna set that up. Comment text field dot let's call that a placeholder is what you can put in the it like what shows up before anyone starts typing anything. So I'm just gonna say comment here. And then you can also set the text color of the text field. I'm gonna set that to black. And then I'm also gonna add the font. But maybe like 15. And then I'm gonna add the translate auto sizing masking to constraints to false, and then add it to the view hierarchy. Yeah. And then next thing, I'm gonna set the constraints for the text field. So ns layout constraint dot activate. So I'm gonna set that a few pixels above the bottom of the screen, so like somewhere here. So we can set its bottom anchor to be equal to the views safe layout guides bottom anchor, and the constant is gonna be -20. So when you constrain something, I guess to above or like to the right, to the left, then you have to use negative. Because normally if you do fall like a few pixels below, then that's positive, or like to the right, that's also positive. But when it's the other way, you have to use a negative constant. And then I'm also gonna set the height to actually the constant one. So I'm gonna set the height to 17, and I'm gonna set the leading anchor, so where the left of the text field will be. I'm gonna set that to like a few pixels to the right of the left of the screen, so like somewhere here. So I'm gonna do view.leading anchor and a constant 20. I'm gonna do the same for the trailing anchor. So, and then the constant is -20, like the reason I was saying before. When you go to the other way, you have to make the constant negative. Okay. Okay, yeah, you can see like something here, and you can type. And then actually, anyone have questions at this point? Okay. Sorry, we're going a little fast because there's like 5 minutes left. And then the last thing is we're gonna set up the bio text field. So we want to put some text into this text field, and I have a long file of Jeff Bezos. So okay. Yeah, so I just copy pasted this long text over here. And then I'm gonna set the font of this text field. set the size to be 12. And then you can also set the alignment of this text view. Text alignment. And then I'm just gonna say left. So all the text will be aligned to the left. And then I'm also gonna set the text color to black. And then the translate auto sizing masking to constraint to false. And then add the bio text view into the subview. Okay. Yeah. And then we want to place this bio a few pixels below the follow button and a few pixels above the comment text field. The way we're gonna do that, same thing, NS layout constraints, activate, and then the bio. So we're gonna set the top anchor to be constrained to the follow button's bottom anchor with constant 20. And then we're gonna set the bottom of the bio to be the what's it called? The comment text field top. And the constant will be -20. So since you're going the other way. And then I'm also gonna set the leading anchor. So same thing as the comment. Okay, and now we have finished setting the constraints. We can try running it. Yeah, and now you see like this blurb of text. And then yeah, there's something I showed in the demo that I didn't talk about here, but if you want like this follow button to have like rounded corners, you can do something like follow button dot layer dot corner radius is equal to, let's say, 10, and that'll give the button some rounded corner. Yeah. Image, you can do the same thing. So you set the image view dot layer dot corner radius, let's say 5. Yeah, so it has like a little bit of a curve. And the nice thing about AutoLayout is everything is relative to each other. So if you like make the Jeff Bezos text like really big, then everything will, other things will just like kind of shrink in respect to that. So yeah, so okay, it's like really big, but you get the idea. Like this block just got like smaller, so everything will still fit nicely on different kinds of phones. Yeah. Any questions?
Will this be posted in the, where will this be posted?
We will upload the recording of this lecture.
Can you just post the file as well?
Can we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can post the file as well. And before we end, there's some action items. So yeah, make sure you're enrolled in Student Center. The drop deadline is really soon. I mean the add deadline, not drop deadline. The add deadline is really soon. And then project 2 is already up and it's gonna be due this Sunday. Oh, okay. Add deadline is at 5 p.m. actually. So October 1st at 5 p.m. Not 11:59. Okay. And then I also recommend starting this project earlier because it will definitely take more time than project 1.